Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Their Excellencies, the Right Honourable Dame Cindy Kero, Governor-General of New Zealand, and Dr. Richard Davis.
Tau I ho mamana ki tanga ki runga ki tēnā o tātou. E honore he kororia he maungāro mo ki runga ki te mato te whenua. He whakaaro pai ki ngā tangata katoa. Aro haina ngā teina me ngā tuakana e noho nei I rungi te whakaaro potahi pai mai.
Please be seated. E ngā mana e ngā reo e ngā iwi o ngā hau e whā, tēnei aku mihi mahana ki o koutou. Nau mai hara mai ki te whare kāwana. Kia ora mai tātou katoa. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome you to Government House for this afternoon's ceremony. I specifically acknowledge Air Marshal Kevin Short, Chief of Defence Force, Major General John Boswell, Chief of Army, WO1 Mark Mortaboy, Warrant Officer of the Defence Force, Joe Harawira, Government House Kaumātua, and Puhi Wahine Tibble, Government House Kuia. Dr. Davies and I are delighted that we could host you here in person on this very special day for recipients with your friends and families. As Governor-General, I have the immense privilege on behalf of Her Majesty, the Queen of New Zealand, to confer the honours to which each of you are entitled. It's very special to bring together such a diverse and extraordinary group of New Zealanders. Some of you have achieved national and international renown, while others are pillars within your community, dedicating your lives to serving others. What you share is a positive impact that you've had on Aotearoa New Zealand. You've brought pride and a greater sense of well-being to our country, and for those things, I thank you. Today's recipients also share that defining New Zealand quality, the belief that anything is possible. And it's that strength of belief, that drive that brought you here today. Ladies and gentlemen, after each recipient is honoured, I invite you to join me in thanking them and congratulating them for their service to our country. Ms. Catriona McLeod will now summon the recipients and read their citations.
Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a Companion of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Mr. Bob Francis of Masterton, for services to the community and conservation. Bob Francis is former Mayor of the Masterton District Council. He's Chairman of Pukaha Mount Bruce, a national wildlife centre where he's helped drive conservation and fundraising programs and led planning for an education centre. He co-founded the Wairarapa Development Group, a think tank charged with improving commercial opportunities within the Wairarapa. He led the Super Turf project to bring a state-of-the-art artificial turf and floodlights to Masterton and launched Digital Seniors Trust. He is the chairman of Wings Over Wairarapa Community Trust and contributed to the development of Masterton Aerodrome. He has chaired the Wairarapa District Health Board, the Aratoi Foundation, the Wairarapa Water User Project, the Wairarapa Homes Steering Committee, and Heartland Wairarapa. Mr. Francis was a commission member of the New Zealand Fire Service. Mr. Bob Francis, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the Queen's Service Order, Mr. Peter Miskimen of Lower Hutt for services to sports governance and public service. Peter Miskimen was Chief Executive of Sport New Zealand, leading the establishment of High Performance Sport New Zealand, overseeing successful Olympic and Paralympic Games, introducing a World Cups office, and leading the development of world-class facilities. He drove the community sports strategy, the Women and Girls in Sport and Active Recreation strategy, and a new disability action plan. He led establishment of the charitable trust Active. He was a Spark and New Zealand Sports Foundation board member. He formerly captained the New Zealand men's hockey team, playing 150 matches and representing at 2 Olympic Games. He chaired the New Zealand Olympic Committee's Athletes Commission and was president of the Olympian Club of New Zealand. Mr. Miskimen is a selector for the Black Sticks and continues coaching hockey. Mr. Peter Miskimen, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of an Officer of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Mr. James Brownlee of Wairoa for services to agriculture and education. James Brownlee owns Naituhoi Station in Ruakitori Valley and helped to establish the East Coast Farm Cadet Scheme. He opened his farm as a training and operations base for search and rescue exercises close to Urewera National Park. He mentored trainees through the Agriculture Industry Training Organisation, AG-ITO, chaired the AG-ITO Gisborne Regional Committee and sat on the national board. He co-developed the Waipoua Station Farm Cadet Training Trust, facilitating a commercially operating farm where trainees could live on site and work towards a formal agricultural qualification. He's provided guidance and contributed to governance for Maori incorporated farms and farming clusters. Mr. Brownlee is part of a syndicate of farmers developing and breeding a premier lamb export product in a joint venture with the Alliance Group. Mr. James Brownlee, please come forward. Mrs. Mary McFarlane of Dunedin for services to swimming. Mary McFarlane has been involved with swimming officiating and administration since 1970. She coached at club nights before becoming an official timekeeper in Otago and then a technical official nationally. She qualified as a national starter and an inspector of turns. She has managed Otago swim teams for New Zealand swim meetings and has held administrative and leadership roles with Swimming Otago. She officiated at the Pacific Games in Samoa and attended the 11th Oceania Swimming Championships in Fiji and the Commonwealth Youth Games in Samoa in a technical capacity. She's officiated at the New Zealand Open and New Zealand Age Group Championships and at the European Special Olympics and World Masters Championships. Mrs. McFarlane is an instructor and examiner with the New Zealand Royal Life Saving Society. Mrs. Mary McFarlane, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit, the late Mr. John Kemmis of Gisborne for services to education. The late John Kemmis was CEO of the East Bay Regional Education Activities Programme, or REAP, and Deputy Chair of REAP Aotearoa New Zealand. At East Bay REAP, he focused on the development of rural areas, community development, and working with young Māori and their whānau. He helped initiate a driver licence program for local youth and played a lead role in hosting a gifted and talented education mini-symposium with the theme of Māori succeeding as Māori. Following the Edgecombe floods, he directed his staff to provide support. Mr. Kemmis was a board member of Te Aho o Te Kuruponamu, New Zealand's largest state school. Mr. John Kemmis's insignia will be received by Peter Kemmis. Please come forward. Mrs. Margaret Dodds of Christchurch for services to special education. Margaret Dodds has been an active member of Special Education New Zealand. She was team leader of special education in several high schools and principal of Waitaha Special School. With the principal of Lemonwood Grove, she established the Lemonwood Grove Full Primary and Waitaha Special Education Schools side by side. She played a key role in relocating Waitaha to a purpose-built facility in Rolleston with 4 satellite provisions across mainstream schools. She ensured her students had an everyday school experience, introducing new curriculum, school dances, camps, and inter-school sports, and created an innovative sensory motor therapy room. Since retiring, Mrs. Dodds has twice covered primary school principal roles at short notice. Mrs. Margaret Dodds, please come forward. Mr. Hoani Langsbury of Dunedin for services to conservation. Hoani Langsbury volunteers as an advisor to the Department of Conservation's Ngāi Tahu Te Ropu Kaitiaki. He volunteered with DOC species recovery groups for 12 years. He is chair of the Otago Peninsula Biodiversity Group and deputy chair of the Dunedin City Council's Environmental Strategy Group. He's a trustee of the predator-free Dunedin Charitable Trust, Wild Dunedin, and the Yellow-Eyed Penguin Trust. He's a commissioner of Environment Canterbury and ecotourism manager for the Otago Peninsula Trust. Mr. Langsbury is deputy chair of the Otago Peninsula Community Board, a cultural advisor to St Hilda's Collegiate School, a swim coach, and a registered athletics official. Mr. Hoani Langsbury, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the Queen's Service Medal, Ms. Jaquetta Bell of Nelson for services to the arts and the community. Jaquetta Bell has provided a free advisory service to voluntary organisations through her agency, Nelson Media Agency. She developed a community information handbook and helped to edit a handbook for community workers. She wrote the text for the first Suter Gallery cookbook. She has been secretary of the Community Action Network and publicist for the Smoke-Free Rock Quest. She is publicist for the Nelson Arts Festival and coordinates the Readers and Writers program. Ms. Bell has contributed to Light Nelson, Te Ramaroa, the Nelson Centre of Musical Arts, the Adam Chamber Musical Festival, and local environmental groups. Ms. Jaquetta Bell, please come forward. Mrs. Sonia Edwards of Opotiki for services to historical research and the community. Sonia Edwards researched records of every Opotiki and Eastern Bay of Plenty man who served in World War I and published the book In Eternal Memory about those who died. She has cleaned and photographed headstones while matching them to cemetery records and established a website so families could access gravesite information. She's a member of the New Zealand Society of Genealogists. She published the Opotiki Golf Club Centennial Book, having been on the Centennial Committee and previously secretary. She arranged for Opotiki newspapers to be digitized by National Archives. Ms. Edwards was secretary of Opotiki Probus Club. Ms. Sonia Edwards, please come forward. Mrs. Toaloa Lalopua Sanele of Wellington for services to the union movement and the Samoan community. Taualoa Lalopula Sanelli was a member of the St. Anne's Catholic Church Choir in Newtown for many years. She was treasurer of the church's Samoan community and Samoan Mothers Group. She's now active with St. Joseph's Parish in Mount Victoria. In 1987, she became a union workplace delegate for the Wellington Hotel and Hospital Workers Union, now E2. She was regional convener and then national convener of its Committee Pacifica. Mrs. Sanelli has appeared before many parliamentary select committees and was prominent in the campaign to amend the Employment Relations Act to protect cleaners' jobs and working conditions. Mrs. Taualoa Lalopua Sanelli, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of the New Zealand Distinguished Service Decoration, Lieutenant Colonel Adam Modd for services to the New Zealand Defence Force. Lieutenant Colonel Adam Modd joined the New Zealand Army in 2007 as an ammunition technical officer in the Royal New Zealand Army Logistics Regiment after completing service in the British Army. Lieutenant Colonel Modd has held Chief Instructor, Command, Special Operations and Capability Development roles in the New Zealand Army, as well as operational deployment overseas. He has been dedicated to the development of domestic and expeditionary explosive ordnance disposal, EOD, improvised explosive device disposal, IEDD, and chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear, CBRN, capabilities. He set up a New Zealand-led international explosives research and training program that resulted in a higher level of understanding, helping reduce chemical and explosive-related risks. He has played a key role in the development of a life-saving capability that has become globally recognized, and international agencies regularly seek to be part of this world-leading program. This has directly supported a range of national and international agencies in their efforts to keep people safe from chemical and explosive dangers. He's been involved with numerous international counter-terrorist, counter-proliferation, and security working groups, helping to stay abreast with the latest global threats, and has been asked to assist in developing regional counter-IED capabilities. Despite significant challenges, Lieutenant Colonel Modd has remained dedicated and active in these fields. Lieutenant Colonel Adam Modd, please come forward. Your Excellency, the investiture has concluded.
Kia ora anō. Our honours system is New Zealand's highest public affirmation of outstanding individual achievement. It reinforces those things that make our society better: service, commitment, manaakitanga, and the pursuit of excellence. Recipients of these honours embody something else that's quintessential to Aotearoa New Zealand. That is our diversity, our differences of backgrounds, views, experiences, and skills that ultimately bind and strengthen us. To our recipients, it has been a privilege to hear your stories. You have each used your talents and abilities to improve the lives of your fellow New Zealanders. Your actions and the lives that you lead reflect the spirit of the words of E.E. Cummings. We do not believe in ourselves until someone reveals that deep inside us something is valuable, worth listening to, worthy of our trust, sacred to our touch. Once we believe in ourselves, we can risk curiosity, wonder, spontaneous delight, or any experience that reveals the human spirit. I urge you to wear your insignia with pride at every opportunity, knowing that your contributions are recognised and valued, and that you inspire others by your example. On behalf of the Queen of New Zealand, and indeed all New Zealanders, I congratulate you on your achievements, and I thank you again for your service to our country. Ngā mihi nui ki a koutou I te awhiahi nei. Ladies and gentlemen, before we conclude the formal part of today's ceremony, I invite you to stand with me and join in singing our national anthem in te reo and By crikey. You better sing louder at the back. Singing our national anthem in te reo and in English. The words are on the back of your program. Kia ora.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing to allow their excellencies to withdraw.